Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Flirk.
This is Mac.
And this is our Natsu Basho preview episode, which will be beginning on Sunday. Yeah, let me try that again. Which will be beginning on Sunday, May 13th, which is just so happens to be one day after the USA Sumo Open. We actually had a bonus episode where we sat down with one of the promoters for that, Andrew Freund. And we also had a bonus episode that was on April Fool's Day, so it should have been a hint to everybody that we weren't serious.
I was pretty serious. I was kind of let down when I figured out that's the only reason that you recorded that with me.
You did hurt my feelings quite a bit, so now that I know you were serious about that, we're going to have a discussion after this episode. But yeah, we did have an episode where we discussed pro wrestling and WrestleMania. But let's move on to the actual topic of this podcast. That is the Natsu Basho, in which we will have Kakuryu trying to defend his throne, from an assuming returning Hakuho.
That's going to be a tall order.
As it always is.
Yeah, as of this recording, nobody has officially pulled out, but I don't know. We've got injury news coming up later on, but it looks like Kakuryu and Hakuho are probably going to be the favorites.
Yep. As far as how the banzuke looks, obviously Kakuryu on top, followed by Hakuho and Kisuno Sato. Ozekis are going to be the same as they were before, Takayasu and Goedo. We got a little bit of shakeup at Sekiwake. We got Tochinoshin moving over to the east, and Ichinojo is going to be filling in for Mitakeyumi, who had his first losing record in at least 7 bashos, ending a 5 basho streak, I believe, at the Sekiwake rank. Mitakeyumi's not dropping down too far, though. He's going down to Komosubi East, alongside first-timer in the Sanyaku ranks, Endo, joining him at Komosubi West. And then in the Zone of Death, we've got Tamawashi at Maegashira 1 East, Kaisei at Maegashira 1 West. We've got Shohozan at Maegashira 2 East, and the accurately predicted by me, Abi, up from 7 to Maegashira 2 West.
Quite a jump.
It was quite a jump, and as I said, it really is not that big of a prediction by me. That's just kind of how the math worked out for that. And then we have Daisho, Maegashira 3 East, and Yutakeyama with the biggest jump, something we didn't see coming, from Maegashira 11 all the way up to Maegashira 3 after an impressive, 11 wins last time?
No, he went 10-5.
10-5, okay.
And this is his career high rank.
Along with Abi.
Abi and Endo are also at their highest rank ever.
Yep. And so we've got we got really only one newcomer to Makuuchi division, Kyoku Taisei, coming up from the Juryo ranks. The other people joining him from Juryo this past basho are going to be Sada no Umi, Amanishiki, and who's the other one?
Takakaze.
Takakaze is back up there.
We're so used to seeing him in Makuuchi that it's almost like, who is that other newcomer? But yeah, he spent one tournament down in Juryo, got a 9-6, and he's back.
I'm also happy that Minishiki's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amanishiki is again. Took his rightful spot as the oldest in Makuuchi, followed by Takakaze. And I believe, are those two the two oldest to come back to Makuuchi?
That they are, yeah.
1 and 2?
Yep. I think Amanishiki has a year or two on Takakaze.
Right, so I know he's older, but Takakaze is still one of the oldest of all time to come back from getting dropped down below.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so since we had people coming up from Juryo, 4 to be exact, we obviously have 4 dropping from Makuuchi. So it's a quick 1 tournament stay for Hide Naomi, dropping back down to Juryo. So Kokurai, he got injured during the last basho. He will be dropping down to Juryo as well. Koto Yuki was also injured. He actually pulled out of the last basho, came back in, and then just continued to lose, and he's going down to Juryo.
He technically only had the 1 absence. He did a whole lot of his losing in the ring rather than the locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm missing the last one.
That'd be Onosho.
Onosho, that's right.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
We should just call him No-Show for the last tournament?
I
don't know. It's mean but clever.
I ain't laughing.
Okay, fine.
We like Onosho, Jake.
I know. I don't know. It was clever, though.
You should have said it about a guy we don't like.
Damn it. Okay.
But yeah, Onosho all the way down from, he was at 4 or 5 last time. But,
5 West.
But because he was still recovering from that PCL injury, he's dropping down all the way to Juryo 1. He'll be the top guy in Juryo. I think everybody's expecting him to be back, so hopefully he can make a quick return to the Makuuchi division.
That would be awesome to see because he's a guy that we've been pretty big fan of. He had that rocket right to the top, had a little bit of a rough patch up there, and then he's been injured.
Yeah.
His power comes from the Mawashi. We've already determined this.
Yes.
His power is related to the
Exactly.
Mawashi color he wears.
That one tournament where he switched back to his classic red. Was that what it was? He was
He was blue,
in,
I think it was
wasn't
he was in
Yeah,
a dark blue, and he was losing at the beginning of the tournament.
Yeah.
And then he was red, I think, the Basha where he got injured. So that might not hold as much water as we initially thought.
No.
We need more data.
Yeah.
We need more data.
But moving on, last Basho, the Hatsu Basho. Correct? Hatsu, not Haru.
No, it's Haru last spot.
Haru.
Was it Haru last Basho? I knew I was going to mess that up.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Natsu.
No, this
No,
is
no, no.
Natsu.
This is
This
Natsu.
is Natsu.
I
Natsu.
know this is Natsu.
I'm pretty sure
Early
it's.
fun
I'm
fact.
pretty sure it's September, isn't it?
Okay, go screw yourself. All right.
Early fun fact: Natsu means summer, and Haru means spring.
I knew both of those.
Very good.
Yeah, you still messed them up.
That's no. Now that's how I'm gonna. So all right.
Just remember,
Let's just
That's
get
a
on
fair
with
point.
it.
Yeah.
So Kakuryu was the only Yokozuna who participated in Haru, Aki, Kyushu, whatever you want to call it.
The one that was before the one that's coming up.
Ryan's just given up at this point.
Oh, I gave up a long time ago. But we are expecting to see at least one more Yokozuna join him. So how do you think that's going to shake out with either Kisano Sato, Hakuho, Kakuryu? What do you think we're going to see from the Yokozuna this time around?
I think talking about Yokozuna, the first thing we have to talk about is Kisano Sato. All the kind of news from him is he's training hard, trying to get back into Yokozuna shape, but he is still kind of losing a lot of matches, and he's getting some mixed records. Like he would go against someone, he would be Kisano Sato. Like he went against Tochinoshin a couple weeks ago, and he went 2-9. So it's kind of looking like he's not going to be coming into this spot show.
Yeah, I mean, even if that's just training, I mean, yeah, training isn't as important, but he shouldn't have a losing record to somebody who's not a Yokozuna or even a Nozeki at this point. So
Yeah, I think it comes very obvious when you look at the other Yokozuna. He went Hakuho went like 13 bouts against Kaisei recently, and he won every single one of them. And Kakuryu went 18-1 against Endo, Abi, and Yutakayama.
yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So So I guess of those two, it's going to be Hakuho versus Kakuryu. Kakuryu is showing the good results lately by getting the Yusho, at least in the very Jun Yusho, I believe in.
Yes, he had the 11-4 Jun Yusho back in Hatsu.
Ooh.
And then he won Haru. And he will participate in Natsu.
Wow,
right.
you must
Holy
be on a
cow.
podcast for this or something.
Yeah.
I got to know my facts.
Yeah, so Kakuryu's coming off some heat. Like he's been doing really, really well. So I think but it's hard to kind of count Hakuho out. But
He is the king.
You are also the world's biggest Kakuryu mark.
yeah. Well, it's actually becoming like that. I will agree. But I do love me some. But I do love me some Hakuho when it comes
He's
in.
moved all of his Harumafuji love over to Kakuryu.
Yeah. So long story short, I think it's going to be a toss-up between the two.
Yeah, I mean, if any Yokozuna who's healthy and participating has got to be in that discussion for being the favorite, and anyone who is Hakuho is always in that discussion. Of course, like absolutely.
A couple other notes that I heard. Kisano Sato, as you mentioned, he did win some matches against some people, but even then, I think his Oyakata was saying, like, this isn't the way that he's should look. This isn't good looking sumo out of him, and doesn't really expect him to participate.
Yeah, there was that comment about that one day the theme was moving forward, right? And he was able to win a few matches, but not with straightforward power like he was being asked to.
Yeah, I believe that was the one against Tochinoshin, which might be part of the reason of a 2-9 record, because he was probably trying to focus on one aspect of sumo.
But that's going to be tough against Tochinoshin since his preferred style of sumo is straightforward.
Yeah. But as a Yokozuna, that shouldn't matter.
True.
Right.
And then as far as Hakuho goes, I know there's been some controversy about how he hits at the tachi-ai, and I do remember reading something just earlier today that he's been winning all of his matches without like the slap or the forearm at the tachi-ai.
Well, the wording I said, I read that exact same thing too, but I thought it was kind of vague on that, whether he was doing that or not. Maybe if you did, what do other people think on that? Let me see if I
read something on the tachi-ai blog today where it sounded like it was pretty definitive he wasn't doing the slaps
Okay,
and
that's
the
good to hear.
forearms.
Yeah, and
Because-
when it comes to that, that's still just it's more of a matter of honor than actual talent.
Yeah,
so
right.
I mean, if he's still going undefeated, no matter how he's doing it, it's still super impressive.
Yeah.
And it does imply that he's healthy, whether or not he's using his sketchiest tactics or not.
But even then, I wouldn't consider it sketchy. He's just using what's available to him to win, as a Yokozuna should.
But as a Yokozuna, it's the I can't even remember that word that I introduced. Hinkaku.
Hinkaku.
It's that hinkaku that you have to have, like that dignity that you show, and that's unbecoming of the position of Yokozuna, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it is worth noting because at Hatsu January, when he first originally got this criticism, he was not doing that stuff, and he was not looking as dominant.
That's true, but it could also have been the toe.
Yeah.
Also true.
He could have been doing that as well. It's hard to kind of say for sure, but like his tachi definitely looked a little bit shakier, I would say.
Yeah, and all factors aside, if he's healthy, that's the number one thing. Regardless of how he's fighting, he's got to be the favorite.
Yep. And we've got a couple of guys that are looking for possible promotions based on their performance in this basho. First one, Ozeki Takayasu has won the past couple of Jun Yu shows at Hatsu and Haru, respectively, with 12-3 records. And he's looking to, hopefully, maybe with a Yusho win this time, get that bump up to Yokozuna, kind of similar to Kiseno Sato. Get a bunch of Jun Yu shows, get that first Yusho under your belt, get bumped up. But that might not be the case.
Yeah, I was going to throw in there Kakuryu became a Yokozuna under a similar circumstance. But you're right. Apparently, news from the kind of summer tour, Jungyo, of where they kind of tour around all of Japan, he has apparently injured his right shoulder and is kind of in a lot of pain and having a tough time doing sumo.
I think he heard that I picked him for my fantasy sumo team.
It must be it.
It must be it.
I do remember we heard about that before you picked him. For fantasy.
No,
That's
I know.
just on you.
Okay. No, I can't say anything against that. But no, there was just some more news immediately after that it had happened a second time that he had to sit out. Just a quick note on Kiseno Sato. He was on a bit more of an impressive run than Takayasu when he got the promotion. So Kiseno Sato, in March of 2016 through July, he got 3 straight Jun Yu shows, 13-2, 13-2, 12-3. He did not get anything for his September 10-5, but then he followed that up with another 12-3 Jun Yu show and then a 14-1 Yu show. That got him the promotion.
Yeah.
So even if Takayasu went like 15-0, he's only got those 2 Jun Yu shows in this current streak, whereas Kiseno Sato went 4 out of 5 Jun Yu shows, followed up by 14-1.
And only 12 wins in each of those Jun Yu shows.
Right.
Yeah. But like I said, there is precedence with Kakuryu because he just had a Jun Yu show before. It was a pretty good one. And then he had a 14-1 Yu show, I believe. But the big thing was he beat Hakuho in that one. Mm-hmm. And they thought that was dominant.
That's got to be a big
Yeah,
factor.
that'd be a huge factor.
So ultimately,
there
what
you go.
come? Yeah.
Sorry, I just looked it up. Yeah, he had a couple 10-5s, a couple 9-6s, then a 14-1 Jun Yu show, and then his 14-1 Yu show. It was the first Yu show he'd ever won. But yeah, that's what got him the promotion. So just that streak of 2 top finishes.
Yeah. Ultimately, what will probably come down to if he's, it's kind of looking iffy that he'll actually join the Basho at all. I think it was said he's going probably. His Oyakata said he's going to the hospital tonight to actually kind of get look at. So
Maybe
we'll
get an
probably find out
MRI
pretty
or
soon.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least he's taking care of it.
Hopefully see if there's structural damage and then go a better route that Kiseno Sato has gone,
Yeah.
helping his shoulder
And
injury.
yeah,
For sure.
this could all be a moot point. I mean, by the time that we release this recording, after the time it takes to edit it, both these guys could be out. So
For sure. But if he is in there, the thing he'll be looking for with Takayasu is a Yusho in the 14 or 15 range and a win against Hakuho.
Yeah. Yeah, because so Takayasu could go from good performance, potential Yokozuna promotion to possibly Kadoban Ozeki with that injury. Somebody else that they're looking to have a good performance against Hakuho for a possible promotion is Tochi Nushin. He was 14-1 at the Hatsu Basho, where he won the Yusho. He was 10-5 at Sekewake in the Haru Basho, and now that's 2 in a row. It's at 24 wins. Technically, really only needs 9 to get to that 33 win mark. But I think we've heard that they want him to have a bit more impressive of a performance than just 9-6 to get that Ozeki promotion.
yeah, and this isn't something that comes up quite as often as with the Yokozuna, but the Ozeki promotion is a judgment call deliberation promotion. So, like a lot of the time, people look at 33 wins as the benchmark. 33 wins in 3 tournaments. consistent great performance and at least a little bit of that in the upper ranks, to show that you're doing well against the top guys. But that's still not a guarantee. That's still just kind of like the baseline of where they, where the discussion begins. So if he falls short of 9 wins, I mean, it's pretty much a lost cause.
Oh, definitely.
But if he gets 9 and doesn't beat Hakuho, who he has never beaten.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
25.
It's in the low 20s. He's never beat him. But so it's if he gets right at 33 but loses to Hakuho, that's where it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, we haven't been following the sport nearly long enough to have a great idea of what the Deliberation Council will choose.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you think he gets 10 or 11, gets up there where they kind of really push it to have to promote him to Ozeki?
Yeah. We should mention that he was apparently had a shoulder injury that they were kind of talking about back in Haru in the previous spa show. They think it happened when he was battling Shodai. And they were kind of talking about that a little bit last month. But it's kind of looking like that might not be. But he's still putting up good numbers, saying that he's like he went 2-9 against Kiseno Sato. So I think
9-2.
9-2.
Yeah. So I don't think this would be that big of a point. But I guess to bring it back to the other question of how well he would do, I think he's looking good. I think he is when he's healthy, his style of sumo is really dominant. So
Yeah.
I think he's going to get the 10 or 11 wins.
And we do know that he had that injury scare before the Haru Basho, where like somebody said there was like a thigh issue where he yelped out in pain, and we were all like, "Oh, there goes Tochinoshin's Ozeki run," and he went on and did 10-5 and did just fine for himself. So I'm expecting good things out of him. I think he could very well be our next Ozeki come Nagoya.
Yeah, we were kind of discussing this previously, like who's going to beat him. So I mean, if people who would be favorites against him, you got to have Kakuryu, Hakuho.
I don't even know that Kakuryu is necessarily a huge favorite.
I would give him better than 50%.
The odds would still be in his favor,
right? And if they were healthy, Kiseno Sato, Takayasu, and Goedo would probably be favorites. Probably, but either way,
I debate you on Goedo.
Either way, though, there are guys that would probably have a better than 50% chance, and that's 5 guys. Everybody else, he would be the favorite against, in my opinion. I think Mitakayumi and Ichinojo are close. Maybe Tamawashi in there. But I'd say, like, I am expecting him, I would say, to get 10 or 11 wins. Yeah. That'd be my hypothesis, I would say.
Whether or not he holds it together against lower rank Rikshi would be the question.
Yeah, not give away easy ones early in the tournament.
Yep. And then we touched on it a little bit earlier, but Mitake Yumi dropping down from Sekewake after 5 basho at that rank. Never got above the 9-win mark, but he was very consistent at 8-7, 9-6. He's at Komosubi this time. Do you think there's any reason for us to expect him to get more than 8 or 9 wins this time?
I don't think so. I think if you look at it the same way that I just thought about Tochinoshin, there's 2 Yokozuna for sure. Well, I guess not even for sure. 2 likely Yokozuna. Jesus.
One likely Ozeki.
One likely Ozeki and Tochinoshin and Ichinojo. I think I would put both of them as favorites over him. There's 4 losses right there, maybe 5. So, I mean, we're getting to the point where if he gives away 1 or 2 easy ones early in the tournament, he might be toast.
I'm not ready to put Ichinojo above Mitake Yumi.
I guess yet. I probably got a lot of recency bias because Ichinojo seems so hot right now.
Yeah. That match last basho where Mitake Yumi just powered Ichinojo out of the ring.
That was pretty cool,
with
though.
me.
I forgot about that one.
When you were counting up those numbers, you said like there might be 4 or 5 people, and then maybe it's above him. That's still only 5 maybe losses of where you have to kind of rise above his rank a little bit.
And we all know Mitake Yumi can stumble against some of the lower guys.
He can definitely stumble, but like he's still very, very consistent. He had a 7 and 8, I think, last basho. That's still very, very close. I would still give him getting Kachikoshi in this one.
Yeah, and one other quick note on him. I just brought up his schedule here. You can see if you're looking at like we use sumogames.de, the sumo database that is used for a ton of stuff. It gives a great visualization of people's recent records and whatnot. I just brought it up here, and of all his losses, it's all in the second week. It's like almost he always has great starts, but he seems to be one of those guys, kind of like what we've been giving Goedo a bunch of crap for recently. He kind of fades in that second week. So it'll depend on when the matchups happen, and as Komosubi, he's likely to face the Yokozuna early.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not like he's doesn't have the potential to get 10, 11 wins. He did do that before he started his run in the Sanyaku ranks. He had 11-4 record, got a special prize there as well. So he has the potential to do it. Maybe it's just head games with him. He just can't put it all together in the second week.
It's only 25.
Yep. And then we got Endo making his very, very long-awaited debut in the Sanyaku ranks. He is going to be Komosubi West. How do you guys think he fares here? That got a hearty shrug from Flair.
Yeah. I will say I think he's going to be facing a lot of the same people as last Basho, and he ended up with a Kachikoshi. So the Hakuho element might kind of tip something in the favor, but I think there's probably a good probability he sticks around.
I would not be quite so confident. I think that it could be. He's another guy that he's only 27, so I mean he's right in where you would kind of consider the beginning of a prime sumo age here. And I don't know, he's been so inconsistent in the past that I just can't really feel confidence for him.
I feel the same way with that. It's just looking at his record, he can be on, and then he's way off. So I think
In the span of like 2 days.
Exactly. So my thought with that is, no, he's done well in the past few Basho, which has been impressive, but I think now that has his debut as a Komosubi, I don't think we're going to get the same consistency as before. I think he's going to fall flat.
Yeah, I mean, he can crash and burn now and then come back by all means, but I'm just so skeptical.
Agreed.
Looking at his record of the past 4 Bashos, he had a 10-5, which was at Megashira 14, and then he had a 9-6, 9-6, and 9-6. Mm-hmm. So I would say he's kind of on the hot run right now. And like right now in sumo, like a lot of kind of the older, more experienced people are kind of falling down, and he's kind of raising up. So I think a lot of the hurdles, like inexperience that he was facing before, a lot of those people, all those Rikishi are kind of aging out. So I kind of think it's his time to kind of move in, and we're just going to start seeing Endo in the Sanyaku as a regular.
That's a very good argument. He is definitely on a hot run right now. I'm kind of with Jake and Mac on this. He's been so inconsistent in the past, and past behavior is the best prediction for future behavior. So I'm going to say probably stumbles here a little bit, 7-8, 6-9, something to that effect.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll be excited.
Oh, no, definitely something to watch.
And like we said, I mean, because he's inconsistent, that doesn't mean that he's bad by any means. So
No.
When he's on his hot streaks, he does great. So I guess I'm not expecting him to do great, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he got like another 9-6 and moved up to a Sekiwaki at some point. Obviously, that's a
depending
possibility
on
too.
people above him how they perform. But
Yeah, exactly.
Something I just kind of added mid-episode, but I do want your guys' opinion. The tadpoles, Onosho, Mitakayumi, Takakeisho, Hokuto Fuji, all of them kind of had a really...
They kind of been getting bitch slapped.
They've been getting bitch slapped. All of them dropped in rankings. I'm just kind of curious, do you guys, now that Hokuto Fuji's down at Maegashira 9, Takakeisho's down at Maegashira 10, Onosho down in Juryo, you guys think they bounce back going up against the weaker competition?
You missed one. Tamawashi.
Tamawashi is not a tadpole.
Oh,
He's
no.
an old fella.
He's like 35.
I got my information wrong. Sorry about that.
No problem.
33. I mean, as long as I got the facts here, we might as well just read them off.
There we go.
Wait a minute.
They had a really bad Basho, and I think a lot of it was due to injuries. The only two that looked maybe not the case was Mitakayumi and Hokuto Fuji. Mm-hmm. I don't know what was going with Hokuto Fuji. He did not seem like himself.
Yeah, no, I don't know what was going on. He didn't have that same swagger that he had a couple of Bashos ago where he beat Hakuho. And I mean, got him 4 straight Bashos with a Kimboshi. He didn't. There's just something was very off with Hokuto Fuji. He was being pushed around too easily. I don't know if he had some lingering injury we haven't heard about, but obviously Takakeisho, he dropped out with injury in the last Basho. Not that he was looking all that great before that, but maybe it was a injury he had gotten earlier and it finally got bad enough where he had to pull out.
Now, I think Hokuto Fuji was kind of one of the more interesting developments with that because he has been doing so well. We've always looked to him to perform admirably in all his Bashos, but in this one, it was like you said, he just couldn't get it together, which was very surprising.
Yeah. It seemed like it definitely was a stumble, I think, from almost every single one on that Basho. So I'm not exactly ready to write them off as like they're washed up. They're not going to do pretty well.
No.
I know, especially from Onosho stuff I've heard, he's extremely motivated. Like he is hungry to be really, really good. Mm-hmm. So having a style like that and not being injured, that's kind of the big question mark. I expect him to bounce back up and start fighting for those higher ranks.
Yeah, and I think Onosho, especially when this first happens, you get motivated. Like when you first stumble, it was his first the first time that he'd been really put down in Makuuchi, and then the injury happens, and yeah, so I imagine the fire's back for him for sure. Looking at Hokuto Fuji's record, this is only his third Makikoshi ever, every division.
Yeah.
Granted, he is still pretty young.
Dang.
He's only 25, but the first time that he had a losing record, he came back at Megashira 3, got the Jun Yusho 11-4. So right
it has
after
been
that,
2 Bashos in a row though, 4-11 and 6-9.
Right.
So that's a start of a trend. 2 isn't really a trend, so I'm not too worried about it yet, seeing as he's my favorite and all. But
yeah,
I don't know. It is a little worrying to see it back to back.
It is to see it back to back. But I guess for me, the way I'm looking at it is kind of the opposite of Endo, who we've seen and discussed as inconsistent. Hokuto Fuji has been very consistent up until the last couple Basho. It seems like at 7-8 at Megashira 2, the first time he ever had that losing record. That's nothing to be ashamed of for sure.
Yeah, were both those losing records when he first reached the Joy, like the upper
no,
ranks?
actually, he got a 10-5 from Megashira 7 that moved him up to 2, and then he had one more winning record at 8-7, and then a barely losing record at 7-8. That was his first one, and then all of this is within the Joy. Then he gets the 11-4, and that was from Megashira 3. Then he comes back at Megashira 1 and goes 4-11. So those 4 or so Basho in a row where he was in that top section, the Joy we call it.
Yep.
The people that would regularly be expected to face the Yokozuna. He's proven he's gone 2-2 essentially if you're looking at winning and losing records.
Yeah. And then 6-9 coming from the Maegashira 6 rank.
That
last
one is
Basho.
definitely a bit more worrying.
Yeah.
But we've seen it with a lot of guys that they'll rocket up to the top when they first start, and then they'll stall a little bit, and then come, then kind of even out to where they should be.
Yeah, he's young yet, not too worried about it, but just I don't want to see my Hokuto Fuji fall.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pick a new favorite, and that'd be the worst, wouldn't it?
Join the Chiyomaru team.
I am slowly, not even slowly, I'm fully behind Chiyomaru now.
Yeah, I think
It's going to take a lot more work to get me behind the Aoyama train, though.
I think Chiyomaru in the time since the last tournament has really come into his own as this podcast spirit animal.
You're
Definitely.
welcome.
For sure.
You're welcome.
And yes, absolutely.
It definitely
Thank you,
started with Mac.
Yes.
It's his smile, man. It just
Props
started with
were-
his smile.
Props where props are due.
We mentioned it earlier. There's some injuries this Basho. Definitely Kisano Sato still dealing with that shoulder injury that he's been dealing with since last year at Haru. We got Takayasu with that potential shoulder injury that he's dealing with. Tochinoshin, apparently some form of shoulder injury, but it doesn't look like that should be holding him back.
Sure hope not.
Yeah. And then Takakeisho, who we just mentioned, one of the tadpoles, he had to pull out of the last Basho. He said at the time of the last Basho that it was about 6-week recovery time, and I mean, it's been about 8 weeks since that Basho, so hopefully he'll be back fully ready to go. What about some other guys, Fleric? I know Arawashi, he's apparently been hurt.
Well, he just looked extremely hurt last Basho.
Yeah,
And-
he totally crapped the bed that time.
Yeah. So that's one thing I'm going to keep an eye out for. I haven't heard any news about him, but I'm going to be watching him to see if he's going to be doing a lot better.
Yeah, that he went 2-13, but that was from Megashare 2. So he's down. He's all the way down to 12, where he'll have hopefully a little bit of a boost in performance because of the competition.
And apparently Aminishiki hurt his knee during the Jungyo tour as well.
Yes, that he did. So he's probably going to be a little bit hurt coming into his Basho and probably not too much training. But I imagine he'll use his kind of wily tricks to get some get a couple wins.
Yeah, I saw a comment that he was voted Rikshi most likely to be described as wily.
I believe it.
And then one more injury that I took note of because it affected me in Fantasy Sumo and my predictions last time. Tochiozan was at Mike Share 11, I think, last time, but he was still nursing some injuries, so he still had a losing record the last Basho, and so he's down to Mike Share 15, so we'll see if he's back and recovered from that injury, because it was just 2 or 3 Basho ago that he put together a very impressive performance. So
Yeah, he got a Jun Yu show pretty recently.
Yeah, so
Oh, nope. Definitely thinking about somebody else.
Toshio-san?
I was too.
Probably future Yokozuna Oriyama.
That must be what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, he went 5-10 from 11, so now he's down to 15.
Thought he did really well recently.
He did have a 12-3.
That's the
but
one I
that
was
is
thinking of.
almost
Okay,
a year
all right,
ago
there we
now,
go.
That's fair.
and he has not had a winning record since then.
Oh, I wish I would have paid more attention to that
I
before I
picked
did
him
my
for
prediction.
fantasy.
Well,
Shouldn't have done that.
we all make mistakes, like I did with Takayasu this time.
Oh, that's true.
All right, moving down to some of the storylines in Juryo and below. Obviously, we already talked about Onosho. He's going to wipe the floor with all those Juryo punks and make his triumphant re-debut in Makuuchi. That's all that needs to be said about that.
It's basically fact. It's
Yeah.
canon at this point.
Exactly. Mentioned before, Kodayuki's down there, Juryo 5. He had been looking pretty good until he got injured. So Kokurai's back down there. He had that foot fracture that looked pretty nasty
Really, really
in
bad.
the last basho. I don't know if we're even sure if he's going to be participating.
Yeah, I think the estimate at the time of the injury was about 2 months or so.
Well, we're
So,
at about 2 months or so.
It's kind of convenient that all these injuries are like, yes, I will be recovered in however many weeks it is until the basho.
Exactly, yeah.
Amazing.
It keeps happening.
So even if he is healed up all the way, it's going to be probably coming in with no training. So
Yeah.
it's going to be iffy for that guy.
And we have up-and-comer Mitoryu, who was, I believe, tied for the lead in the Juryo division when he had to leave for injury last basho, but he still had enough to get a Kachikoshi record, so he did move up in the Juryo ranks. But we believe he should be back as well.
Yeah, I hope so. He's been showing a lot of promise, and I looked it up. Yeah, he had 8 wins in the first 10 days, and then he had 1 loss, and then he pulled out.
And he better be back because I picked him for my Juryo pick for fantasy.
I feel like a lot of our podcast news coverage depends on who we picked for fantasy this month.
And
These
we-
are people are paying attention to.
And we pick enough of them that we really get a very good coverage of the Makuuchi division, I feel.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. It's just kind of funny.
Just a comment.
Yeah. And then Takanoiwa, he skipped the Jungyo tour to further recover from his injuries received at the hands of that dastardly Harumafuji at the Harumagazi scandal.
Yes.
Almost said Harumaguzi, but I stopped myself.
Good thing you didn't say that.
Exactly.
Old habits die hard.
Yes. And then I'm going to need some help, particularly from Fleric, because it's always a joy hearing him pronounce new people's names.
Oh, no.
Fleric, who is new to Juryo this
Who's
time?
new to Juryo, Fleric?
All right. We have newcomers Hakuyozan
Oh, no. He's doing good.
and Wakataka Kage.
I thought he had it.
Almost had it, man.
Biffed it at the end.
Good old Waka Waka.
Did
Yeah.
not disappoint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got 2 newcomers from Makushita division. Hakuyozan, I don't. He's 6-1 from Makushita 1, so he just kind of he got all the way to the top of the ranking. He boosted his way in. But Wakataka Kage, hey,
There you go.
did
It
it.
was much better.
yeah. The interesting thing about him is like he actually has like 2 other brothers who are all kind of rikishi together, and they're all from the same basho. And like he's
Heya. Same Heya.
thank you, yeah.
I mean, they're all the same
don't-
basho because they're all wrestling coming up here.
It's
but-
true, but
Exactly.
They're all in the same basho as Hakuho.
Gasp.
My God, words are hard. Anyways,
But yeah, they all have ridiculous names, don't they?
yeah, I believe they all start with Waka.
Yeah, I believe Bruce brought them up on our preview episode last time.
Yeah, I
as
think,
guys
uh,
to watch out for.
I think this is another one. Wakamoto Haru.
Ooh.
no, somebody completely different. Jake.
Wakachakamoto.
No, completely different.
I'm sure there's no relation between
No,
these
none.
ridiculous names that are all similar. I think those are the 3. But yeah, they've been Makushita mainstays for a bit here.
Yeah, so they're all brothers. Apparently, he's the youngest, and his next dream is to have his other brothers join him up in Juryo. Probably because he doesn't have to face them.
Last one from Makushita got a 6-1 at Makushita 3 would be Asabenke. Name we haven't had on this podcast before, but it appears that he has been in Juryo before, but is making his triumphant return.
So we'll look to those guys, see kind of how they do at their newfound positions or refound positions in Asabenke's case. We also know that Ura, I believe, will not be participating once again. He has dropped down to Makushita 50.
Ouch.
All the way from, what was he, Maegashira 3, 4?
Yeah,
when he
I'll
got
take a
that
look. I'll
injury.
see if I can find his top rank here.
Hey, I'm okay. As long as he's taking the time to properly heal, he will come back.
Which it sounds like this will be his third straight basho, I believe, that he is missing, which will put him at 8 months recovery if he comes back in July.
Yeah, I will say of what we read about like ACL injuries, that's right about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of hope he doesn't come back even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, his career high was Megashira 4 East.
Okay. So yeah, don't look for Uro this time. Possibly next time, but we really don't know about that. And then we've got some other guys down in the lower divisions. I will let Jake or Flerick talk about them because they know a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, we've got our 2 Americans. Oh, man, dang it. Now I caught it. Musashi Kuni, the nephew of former Yokozuna Musashi Maru, is at Makushita 52, which is kind of unfortunate because at that rank, being so close, he and Ura could potentially have faced off. That would have been pretty cool.
And Ura probably would have wiped the floor with him.
Yeah, healthy Ura deserves to be in Makuuchi, so yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The other American, Waka Ichiro, he had a losing record, so he's back down into the Jonidan division. He is at Jonidan 14, which is pretty close in ranking, which might line him up with the grandson of great Yokozuna Taiho. That would be Naya. This is his second basho. He has yet to lose. He's at Jonidan 11, and that'd be pretty cool if those two faced off. But yeah, and the only man that, let's see, the next we have Hoshoryu, who has only lost twice, and both times were to Naya. So I think that is a budding rivalry that will be fun to watch. Mm-hmm. But Hoshoryu, because he had one fewer win than Naya, is significantly lower ranked. So Naya is at Jonidan 11, Hoshoryu is at Jonidan 42.
I think we can both expect them up into Sandanme with a decent winning record, though.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the past. If you get a 7-0, you bump up the whole division. Mm-hmm. And at those lower rankings, though, they kind of match it up so that only one person will end up with that. They kind of match it up so, like, if 2 guys are 6-0, they'll have those 2 guys face each other on the last day or something.
Oh.
So it's unlikely that both guys could get there. I'm not 100% sure on how that works, but that's kind of the general trend that they go for. But yeah, both guys very certainly are showing a lot of promise. So if they keep up even close to this rate, they'll be rocketing up the rankings.
That'll be fun. It'll be fun to keep tabs on. Especially
if they stay close to each other. They entered at the exact same time with a whole lot of hype. It'd be awesome if they just stayed close in rankings and faced off the way Takakeisho and Onosho. Mm-hmm. Is that the pair that have been friends since middle school?
Mm-hmm. All right, and now over to Flerick with the news.
Thank you, Ryan.
We need a jingle.
Dun, 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 dun.
There we go. So there's been some news off the basho this past month or so, and during the regional tour of the Jungyo, of where it's kind of like a traveling show of where all the Sekitori kind of go to different towns and kind of do some sumo in front of large crowds. And normally they have the mayor give an address on top of the dohyo to kind of welcome them to the town and kind of introduce the sumo people. And so, unfortunately, during one of the stops, the mayor giving an address on top of the dohyo, he ended up collapsing. And one of the female doctors that was in the crowd from a local hospital kind of rushed onto the dohyo and kind of performed a cardiac massage and tried to save his life, essentially. And eventually the mayor
succeeded, by the way. The mayor
Yes.
The mayor did live, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
yes. But there was a little controversy in the sense that Gyoji apparently announced over public intercom for the woman for all women to kind of get off the dohyo. There were a couple other women who kind of wanted there to help out. I believe there were nurses or other fellow doctors at the hospital as well. And so apparently said 3 times for them to get off of the dohyo, which in hindsight was kind of people were upset with because they were just trying to save someone's life.
Didn't Hakaku come out and say like that was an inappropriate response from the Gyoji,
Right.
and this was obviously a emergency matter, and that it was very disrespectful for the Gyoji to respond that way?
Exactly. The Sumo Association's chairman, Hakaku, he was quick to say that the Gyoji was in the wrong, that was not the right thing to do, because someone's life is in danger. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of okay with that. But it did kind of start the discussion about the whole... There is a tradition of women cannot be on the dohyo, and whether or not this has a place in modern sumo.
And I do believe after the women left the dohyo, Gyoji or some other people were throwing salt into the ring to purify the dohyo after the women had left as well.
In a kind of a retrospectively offensive way of saying, those dirty women were on the dohyo, we have to clean it.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the case. Whenever there's an injury on the dohyo, they always throw some salt into the middle.
That's
and
fair.
someone did kind of collapse on the dohyo.
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, he literally did.
No, that
Very
part
good
is not a
Yeah.
kinda.
So okay, yeah,
Very good
that's a very
so
good point.
okay, fair point.
It definitely kind of looks pretty bad from that stance, but there is precedence when someone gets injured to throw some salt onto the dohyo.
Okay.
Fair enough. But that does still kind of it did still spark this debate that has kind of been simmering under the surface for quite a while, though.
Yeah, and it's brought sumo back into the main pop culture of around the world, and whenever that happens, it's of course always the scandal-ridden sport of sumo.
Right. So regardless, the Sumo Association is obviously going to be upset that there's anything that could be interpreted as scandal, any sort of drama outside the ring, or I guess literally inside the ring,
in
but
this case,
figuratively
inside the
outside the
ring.
ring.
Yeah,
Outside the basho, how about that?
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. So it's something that's been brought back to the fore that has kind of been simmering there. That women are not allowed on the dohyo, and that's something that we haven't touched on a whole lot in our podcast, just because we don't have a whole lot of the cultural exposure to it yet.
yeah, and it definitely seems like that's a very strong cultural belief that they have. Obviously, not held by everybody in Japan. But that is a very strong tradition of theirs, which is why I believe they're so hesitant to walk away from that.
Yeah, it could be argued one of the best, the coolest things about sumo is they're definitely steeped in tradition, like how stuff used to be kind of done. So, but the kind of question is, like I said, but it has changed over time. So the kind of question that is being discussed right now is like whether or not this is one of those we need to keep around to kind of keep sumo essentially, or this is something that can maybe be changed.
Right.
I do want to say the Sumo Association did have another, I believe, a point afterwards. Their biggest thing was they will look into this tradition. They're not against like changing traditions, but they want to deliberately wait and make sure that they don't make a decision on emotions.
Right. They got
Smart.
to make sure
Smart.
that we're making this decision for the right reasons, not knee-jerk reactions. I
Yeah.
kind of get that resistance, but yeah, that's something that I think we plan to discuss in a lot further detail later.
Yeah, they gave a kind of a vague response during August to hopefully make a decision on whether or not to keep this tradition or not.
Okay. All right. What else do we got, Flerick?
That's a very good question. Let's look. Oh yeah, we have DJ Takanohana
Wait, what?
straight off of his album release.
Check our Twitter if you're completely lost on that reference.
It still isn't going to be that funny, but that's at least what we're referencing.
Oh no, that's
Indeed.
that's the funniest thing I've seen all month, I would say. Anyways, I digress, but whatever. So the chairman elections happened this past month, and so all of the committees that people are assigned to have been decided out as well. Takanohana, who used to have a really high position as the Jungyo chief, he was the guy kind of directing how those tours would go. He got demoted kind of down to the Shippan committee, which is a lot closer to the bottom. So as you're watching some matches, he's going to be one of the guys in black, kind of judging the bouts. So look for him during probably Ozeki and Yokozuna matches.
Do you think he will be sporting his scarf?
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so too.
What about the fanny pack?
Oh, I imagine so. How else where you carry all your wallet and handkerchief and belongings?
Yeah, I mean the robes that the Shimpan judges wear are kind of loose fitting, so I imagine he could sneak a fanny pack in under that.
Oh no,
I could see it. I
he'd
could see
show
it.
it off with pride.
That's a good point. It's Takanohana.
Other news we have is Ishiura's a dad.
Yay.
His wife had a kid, I believe, in the last week or so. And
that child has already won several bodybuilding competitions.
Ishiura guaranteed to win this basho, as Tochinoshin won back in January after his child was born a week before the basho started.
You heard it here first, folks.
my goodness, you're right.
I hadn't thought
Ishiura's
of
first
that.
U show.
Yeah, so future Yokozuna Ishura coming up. I can't wait. Can you Hanka every single match and win the basho?
There's nothing in the rules that say you can't.
It could be done.
He just runs around the ring.
I think by day 13 or 14, people might be on to something there.
Somebody
though.
would get somebody to baseball bat him in the knees backstage or something like that.
Would just
they
stand
would
straight
never
up and just go try it.
they would never let that happen, but God, it would be awesome to see him try.
All right, and for our last point, a little sad news. Hakuho's dad unfortunately passed away last month.
I'm excited for this one. Say it.
Excited for
I
the
was actually-
pronunciation.
Okay,
Not
yeah,
sorry
thank
to
you.
say.
Let's preface this, Ryan.
All right, they obviously got their best pronunciator on this job.
Flerick
Which
on
is
the
me.
job.
You can do it, man.
So,
Pronunciating
You
correctly.
got this.
Jigji Jin Monkubat.
And we do
It's not
apologize.
his name at all.
Yeah, we do
I think-
apologize for
No,
that.
you got Monkbot.
I think you got the last name pretty close. But
Okay.
yeah, we have even somehow less exposure to Mongolian than we do to Japanese.
I do apologize
Shocking.
if that
I know.
came off as a little bit of disrespectful or insensitive.
No, he was a legend in Mongolian wrestling. He is basically the Hakuho of Mongolian wrestling.
Yeah, it was around like the 50s and 60s. He competed in the Olympics for Mongolia. He won the silver medal in the men's freestyle middleweight category, winning the first medal for Mongolia.
He also won national championships. Flair, do you have some more details on Mongolian wrestling? Just give us a quick 101.
I was just going to say, like, they pretty much have one tournament every single year called Nadam, and he was a very much a champion for that. I believe he won 6 in a row, and he held the highest rank in Mongolian wrestling, which is the
Just say the translation.
Okay, Invincible Champion, which is an amazing name.
That is a badass
that
title
is
for
awesome.
sure. Yeah, and I remember Hakuho once said that winning the Nadam 6 times was essentially 6 years of winning all the Yusho, so the equivalent of like 36 Yusho, right? If you won every tournament that happened in 6 years, that'd be like
Okay,
36
yeah.
Yusho.
Dang.
So he always held that up as a standard that he should aim for.
Well,
And
he
just
surpassed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this quote is from before he did surpass
Yeah.
it, but yeah, that was one of his motivations. And another thing I heard that he did for his dad was traditionally people will take Japanese citizenship as they as they become established and fixtures in sumo, especially yokozuna or people who plan to stick around in the sumo community for much longer. But for his dad's, just in his dad's honor, Hakuho put that off and is, as of this time, is not a Japanese citizen. So that may be something he works towards now that he's now that his father's passed and he did that favor, that honor for his father. It all depends on Hakuho's motivations for sticking around as well.
So Jigjidin Monkbot, once again, apologize on pronunciation for that. Hakuho's father has passed away, a badass in his own right.
Hopefully somebody that we can talk about more in a bonus episode sometime or something.
Indeed,
I
that'd be
believe Jake has been mining all the information he can on Mongolian wrestling.
We have a whole lot of research built up.
But that'll wrap up our first segment here. We're going to send it over to commercial, and when we come back, we will have our prediction series, fun facts, and other loose odds and ends.
Next week on Law & Order, Gogoki-kan.
Takanohana, you stand accused of disruption of official sumo business and wearing a fanny pack in public.
I object.
The trial of Takanohana.
Your Honor, my client is very hip. Fanny packs are just his way of implementing his brand of fashion.
But what of the scarves?
One man's attempt to modernize sumo will tear apart the lives of everyone around him.
Damn it, Takanohana! Your attempt to modernize sumo is tearing apart the lives of everyone around you.
Featuring special guest Christopher Walken as Takanohana.
I'm not guilty, Your Honor. I like fanny packs. They hold all of my things. I gotta tell you, this whole trial is just fiddle poop.
Then, in the shocking conclusion, Takanohana finally reveals his true motivation.
And what does the defense have to say for himself?
Hey, so, Your Honor, fanny packs are very important to my family. My father, he went to the war, and he had a fanny pack with him. He would carry all of his trinkets, like his morning milk and his gun. And the
All
heads
this
of all
next
those
week
he
on
had
Law &
defeated
Order,
with him.
Gogoki.
He passed it down to my brother, who put that fanny pack inside of his fanny pack. Then I killed my brother.
Welcome back, and we're going to get into a segment which I believe just took a gigantic nosedive in the last Ba show, our prediction segment.
That's because you lost. You broke.
It lost to me.
Yeah, you broke the streak. That's the first time that Mac didn't lose.
And it was the worst thing in the history of this podcast to never be surpassed by anything that will ever happen.
Saying worst thing in the history of this podcast, that's a high bar to clear.
Indeed.
We've
It's a good
done,
point.
Yeah, we've messed up a lot of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Especially Mongolian pronunciation.
A recently new
Especially.
development, but
Yeah.
it's true.
And I stand by my statement that me losing is the worst thing that will ever happen to this podcast. Luckily, it will never happen again.
Oh, good grief.
Come in
Just get it
next
moving.
week.
Starting with this Ba
Continue.
show, our first category, as always, is the Yusho winner. And as the
Loser.
Fourth winner. As the
You're
fourth winner,
the first place loser.
Indeed.
I get first choice, and since the man is back, I got to pick the man. Well, at least we assume the man is back. Hakuho will be my choice. Fleric.
Yeah, I agree with you. He is probably one of the favorites. I would say equal favorite to him is Kakuryu, so I will pick Kakuryu.
For this one, I am actually going to go with a little more history and a proven track record, even though he's inconsistent. I'm going Goedo.
All right, and then bringing up the rear, I am all aboard one particular hype train, and that is going to be Tochinoshin this time around. I think he gets it. I think he gets his Ozeki.
All right. And Junyu Show. Fleric, who do you got there?
Once again, I think it's equally between Kakuryu and Hakuho. I'm going to pick Hakuho.
And to piggyback off of that, I'm going to go with Kakuryu.
I see we have a pattern.
How did you know?
Jake, are you going to take Goedo?
I could double down on Tochinoshin because I do think he's going to be up in the top.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong if you did.
But and I'm also resisting the urge to pick Takayasu just because of the health again. If he was healthy, I'd say he'd be a great pick here.
Obviously,
agree
if he
with
was
that.
healthy, he would have been one of our U-Show picks.
You know what? What the heck? We're going to go with Goedo. I do think that he should be in that top discussion.
I see Jake doesn't want to win this time. No, I'm kidding.
Says the loser of
Say,
last
hey, wait a
Basho.
minute.
Yeah, so I have experience. I know what it takes to lose this.
You're the
I have
only one.
most experience. What are you talking about?
That's a good point. But
Yeah.
Ryan is the only one who has won and also lost. That's
This
a
is
good
true.
point.
I know how to do both.
You're the Goedo of this podcast. All right, who are you picking for Junior Show Goedo?
I quit. Take it back.
I take it back.
All right, I take Tochinoshin.
All right, so special prizes. We actually have to make some changes here.
Indeed.
All right, so Matt gets first pick.
For this one, I'm going Tochinoshin. I think he's going to put up an admirable performance. Whether it's the style or the heart, I think he's going to get something no matter what.
Not
It's-
bad. He's won 2 out of the last 2 Bashos, so.
Yeah,
Especially if
and
he's
won
pushing his
3 in the
Ozeki
last
run,
2 Bashos.
he's going to have to perform. So
Yeah, so this might be your last chance to pick him for a special prize. Because if he goes to Ozeki, there's no more special
come on,
prizes there.
Tochinoshin.
At least for 2 Basho.
Yeah.
All right, Jake.
For me, I think I'm going to take Tamawashi. I think he is. He's been in this great spot as far as his talent versus his physicality. As he's getting older here, I think he's got a couple good ones left in him.
I'm going to go with Shohozan. He's at Maegashira 2. He put up an 8-7 record. He was either at 3 or 4 last time, so he's going to be going up against the same people. He's got that fire in him, so if he can rack up the wins, he's definitely got the style that's flashy enough to get him a special prize, I think.
I'm going to go with Mitakeumi myself. I don't believe that he's kind of on his downturn. I think he is consistently good, but he's always just been kind of in the Sekiwaki area. I think he's going to bring it in, bring some fire and get some wins and some prizes.
All right, Jake, who do you got with the Kinboshi?
I am going to take a risky one here because I think that I didn't pick him for a special prize, but I was thinking about it. But I do think that Abi can show a little bit of fire here up at the top. I think Abi is going to beat Kakuryu.
All right. I'm going to go with Tamawashi. He's a guy proven that he can do this. He's been around at this rank for quite a while. So I'm going to have Tamawashi taking out Kakuryu.
All right. We haven't really talked about him too much, but I'm going to pick Yutakiyama. He has put out some very impressive bashos in the last handful. I believe in the last one was a 10-5, or at least a double-digit win.
It was 10-5. Yep.
So I think he is going to get a win over Kakuryu.
But you guys missed the most important one. He had
Kaise?
an amazing run in this last Basho, and he's the only man just as hairy as Takayasu, and that's Kaise. How can you discount the man? And I think he's going to take it over Kakuryu.
He's going to get the rematch.
I can discount it based on the fact that Kakuryu absolutely embarrassed him in the last
That
There will
was-
be revenge.
That was a silly match.
Revenge.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't help but notice all 4 of us picked Kakuryu.
Yeah, I mean,
you just can't go against.
I'm not
This is
saying
why
it's
he's my
wrong.
Junyu show pick.
unless it's Yoshikaze, you can't pick against Hakuho.
Yeah.
That's a good point. They'd be in a stalemate.
Well, Yoshikaze, last 2 times they faced off, beat Hakuho.
Oh, I guess I was just referring to that really awkward stare fest after the
Oh,
mata.
yeah.
That was awful. Okay, Kachikoshi, Ryan, you're first.
I would take Takakeisho here, except
I'm sorry. To clarify for our listeners, we're picking somebody who is Megashira 9 or lower, who we are expecting to get a winning record.
Yep. And like I said, I would take Takakeisho here. I'm a little bit worried about a lingering injury from the last Basho, so he bit me in the ass probably every single prediction because I always take him, but I'm going to go with Hokuto Fuji to get Kachikoshi at Megashira 9.
Crazy fool. To get Kachikoshi, I'm going to go with Daiamami. He kind of impressed me last Basho, and I'm hoping good things from him. I think he can hopefully pull out 8+ wins.
I am going with future Yokozuna, Oyama.
Son of a bitch.
He put up good numbers on the last one. He kind of petered out a little bit, but I think he's going to do well here.
Yeah, I think he's another one of those guys similar to my pick, where if he's healthy, he'll be making improvements. His talent is higher than a Megashira 13 rank would imply. So I'm going to pick Arawashi.
Very good.
I think Arawashi is more talented than the Megashira 12 rank that he's at. So if he is over the terrible affliction of facing the Sanyaku that he caught an awful case of last time, I think he has a good shot.
All right, and then the last category is going to be Makekoshi for Megashira 8 and above. What do you got, Flerick?
I'm going to pick Takara Fuji. I was not convinced by him last Basho, so I think he will also do not so great.
This one kind of hurts for me, but I just think he's going to get smacked down. I'm going with Abi. I'm sorry. I like the guy, and he's great, but I think he's in for a wake-up call.
Yeah, I have a bit more on that later, too, but I'm going to pick mine for a similar reason. Yutakayama, I think he's going to get smashed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and once again, similar reason, Daisho, just big jump for him here. I think he's just going to get knocked right back down to reality.
All right, and that'll wrap it up. So what are the stakes this time?
All right, well, something new to the show. We have not Mac choosing out of the Bolo punishment. So
This feels weird.
Let me reach over and grab
I don't
that.
like
It is
this.
my duty this time. See what we got. And pull out.
Oh my God, it's so dramatic.
Good Lord.
We got, once again, the winner gets to handpick the loser's punishment. So we really won't know what the punishment is.
Should we? Well, I don't know.
say
I
go
suppose.
again here.
Well, why don't we reveal what the options are about halfway through when we have a better idea who that could be?
I like that one.
Oh, okay. All right, we can do that.
Should we give that a go? Okay.
That'll work.
So whatever it is,
it remains a mystery.
whatever it is, it's going to be the harshest one in the bucket.
Yes.
We do know that. So we'll. Why don't we provide an update when we have a little bit of the scores shaken out towards our midway episode?
Sounds good.
That's kind of a letdown.
It leaves them on the edge of their seats.
Exactly.
It's a cliffhanger. Now people have to
It's a
tune in to
cliffhanger.
find out.
You have to
slow
listen
simmer.
to us.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The poor listeners.
No, it drives ratings up. That's why TV shows do it all the time, I assume.
Yeah, because we know about that as much as we do about podcasts.
Exactly.
do?
Not really. But yeah, if you want to kind of participate with us, you can go to Twitter, Facebook, our blog, send us your predictions, what you think is going to happen. It's going to be a lot easier for you. You don't have a lessened field to choose from for each category. So let us know what you guys think.
You don't have Max stealing your Aoyama picks.
Hey, it wasn't my fault that I came first in the rotation.
And
Sorry.
it's not your fault that he's a future Yokozuna either.
Well, no, but hey, I have been on board the Oyama train since the beginning.
Yeah, what people can't see at
he
home
was-
is me viciously rolling my eyes every time they say future Yokozuna Aoyama.
He was right about Chiyomaru. He might be the prophet.
See?
How is he right about Chiyomaru? He had a
Behold.
6-9 record.
He is also literally the one who has proven to be bad at this particular prediction game so far.
This is also true. But you have to admit, I was right about Chiyomaru.
Yeah, all right. Well,
That's
you're
one
right
point in my favor.
You're right in the sense that he's now our spirit animal.
Indeed. I'll take it.
And on that note, it's time for Jake's Fun Facts.
Oh, thank God. Okay, we can move on. All right, so my first fun fact today, something I learned while I was researching Hakuho, the 1980s horror movie Hellraiser was actually filmed in a British setting, But after all of the filming was done, they redubbed a whole bunch of the lines, and almost all the characters have American accents now.
What the? What does this have to do
I
with?
found this out while I was researching Hakuho.
Wait a minute.
How did you find this out while researching Hakuho?
One of the many themes that have come up while we've been doing research for this podcast is that Wikipedia can be a hell of a rabbit hole. So this was one where I was, I probably should have been working a little bit harder on this particular slow day, but I started reading about Hakuho, and then I realized I don't know a whole lot about the country Mongolia. So I clicked on that link, and that took me down to, the high point, you could say, in Mongolia's global power was, when they were the Mongol Empire, under Genghis Khan and Ogadei Khan and whatnot.
I think I've heard of those people.
Yeah, so I was kind of going in there, and then I was like, horse archers. Yeah, apparently horse archer nomadic tribes have, they've been a big thing for a long time. I click on that. This goes all the way back to like the Parthians in ancient Roman times, right? The Parthians were a huge thorn in the ancient Roman side, especially Pompey the Great. So I click on Pompey the Great. He's one of Julius Caesar's great rivals. They had civil wars against each other. And in the HBO series Rome, he was actually played by Kenneth Cranham, an actor who's been in a number of things, including playing Dr. Chenard in Hellraiser 2, which, as you may know, is the sequel to Hellraiser 1, which was filmed in a British setting.
Wow.
But after filming was done...
Behold the rabbit hole that is Wikipedia.
And I woke up 3 hours later, and everyone else was gone from work, and I was hungry. So that kind of thing happened.
Yeah.
That happens anytime I try to do research for the show.
What a fun fact.
Beware.
Now you know more about 1980s British/American horror films.
But what about Mongolia?
Oh, crap, right.
All right, for the next fun fact, Jake and I have something for you. There are apparently two different styles for the Yokozuna Doho Iri. It's kind of the little dance they kind of do on the dohyo to kind of drive out demons, I believe, and some other stuff. I'm not exactly sure.
Right. It's one of the things that being a Yokozuna gives you the right to do your own entrance, as opposed to everybody else who enters together in a short ceremony.
Exactly. The one thing I do know is they look really, really cool. There are apparently two styles that there are. There's a Shira Uni and the Unryu. The Unryu style is kind of performed with when they kind of do that point where they lower themselves lower to the ground and kind of raise themselves up. The Unryu style has where one arm is kind of away from them and one arm close to the body, and it's kind of thought to represent both defensive style and offensive style. And also the tsuna, the kind of little rope thing, apron thing they have around them, it only has one kind of knot loop in the back. It's kind of a circle cross with a line. The current practitioners of the style are Kakuryu and Kiseno Sato. The other style is a Shira Uni style, which has both arms extended when they do the roll rising up to the top. And it's kind of considered a more offensive style. And the tsuna has kind of two loops. It looks more like a butterfly in the back. And practitioners are currently Hakuho and the and Harumifuji, who also did this style at the same time. The Unryu style is more popular of the two because the practitioners of the Shinryu style have a habit of getting injured. So people like to do the kind of more balanced style of the Unryu style.
Yeah, we went back and looked at the history of however many Yokozuna they are. On Wikipedia, there's the list of Yokozuna, and I promise I'm not getting into movie facts this time. I actually stayed on topic on Wikipedia. It lists which style everybody did, and Unryu is at least like twice, maybe even three times as popular as the Shiranui style, going back to 200 years ago when they started recording who did what. And these are named after two Yokozuna from the 1800s, and they were both obviously very successful guys. And it was kind of the first time that people started paying attention to how they do that dohyo hiri themselves. Before this, it just wasn't formalized. It's not like they didn't do it; it just wasn't quite so formalized. So once they started doing it, other people started mimicking them. The next generation of people did it, and by now it's just completely crystallized as this form. You pick one or the other when you become a Yokozuna. What's interesting, though, is that the names may be switched. So it may be that the style that Yokozuna Unryu did is now the style that we call Shiranui. This kind of goes back to a Yokozuna shortly after them, Tachiyama. Tachiyama, he did the style that is now called Shiranui, but he says that he was mimicking Unryu's style. And the part where this becomes boring fact into fun fact is that sumo scholar Kozo Hikoyama, around this time, he was researching this, and he labeled Tachiyama's style as Shiranui, whereas Tachiyama says that it was Unryu's style. This guy, Hikoyama, was such an authority that no one bothered to contradict him, and that's how we know it now. So it's not just maybe switched, it's likely switched.
Wow.
It's just because this guy was, so prestigious that I don't know, he must know better than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Long story short, did you know Jason's mom was actually the killer in the first Friday the 13th movie?
Spoilers, Ryan. What the heck?
I'm sorry, that's just where the Wikipedia hole took me, or whatever.
That's what you've been doing in the meantime while we've been reading fun facts.
Yeah, I just started with the Dohyo Iri. Long story short, Freddy Krueger kills people. And
You just mixed two different movies.
I didn't say where he kills people. Obviously, it's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let's mercifully move on to our last fun fact. This is something that we've actually neglected quite a bit on our show, and I do feel kind of bad about this. But
One of our fans kind of took us to task.
One of our
over it.
fans really told us what for and gave us and left us a voicemail. Why don't we take a listen to that?
Hi there, Grand Sumo Highlights.
Off to a rough start.
Wada from Sweden here. I've been listening to your show and I really like it, but there's this one thing that I just can't stop thinking about that you missed. And it's the fact that you make all these fun little facts about all these wrestlers and you find these little characteristics of them. But I've never heard you talk about Takayasu's face. Now, Takayasu's face is beautiful. It is the epitome of calm and chubby, adorable bear cheeks. He has the most adorable bear cheeks. If you look at him, you just want to snuggle him. You want to just get your face in there and go, ooh, do, 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 do. But when you see him actually in combat, which you can only really catch if you look at those slow motion replays after the fights, you'll see that Takayasu's snuggly, cute, adorable face transforms into the picture of rage and adrenaline and fury that it's the most insane thing I have seen a face go from so cute to so angry. I cannot even fathom how it works. It's amazing. And it needs to be a factor that you discuss on this podcast. Big fan, what out?
So obviously that was something that needed to be said. We were deliberately and intentionally avoiding that subject for as long as possible. Somebody called us out on our BS. Here we are owning up to it. So thank you, Wata, for illuminating our fans about Takayasu's wonderful, ever-changing face.
It truly a sight to behold.
Yes. And then I think we got to go over to Jake for our fantasy and ELO updates.
All right. So for our fantasy, as I already mentioned, I picked Takayasu, and that was my number one pick. Even.
I think we've all mentioned all of our picks at this point.
Oh, God. I just can't get over it. Anyways, the contest to join us as our fifth fantasy player this month was won by our Twitter follower, Jonathan Wagner. Our contest this month was to name your guilty pleasure rikishi, a rikishi that you are a huge fan of, but you don't always necessarily say it everywhere in public. And he said that his favorite was, in this sense, was Ikioi. You know, he's a great wrestler. He's fun to watch. But you can always tell how far into the basho we are by how much tape he's got on him. He always gets banged up, and that's our winner. We also have a couple honorable mentions. Our Twitter follower Henzen also liked Ikioi. He always overcommits, but Henzen can't help but like him because he's an honorable samurai and a great singer.
He sings?
I can attest to this one, actually. I looked it up out of curiosity. I would recommend it. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Also, we have Joshua Schaff said that Kaisei was a great guilty pleasure rikishi because he looks like a Skyrim creator character. I had never put that together, and I probably never would have on my own, but now I can't unsee it. And then also our old friend Eric was a previous fantasy guest, and he said...
And we just demolished him.
He
I
made some
think
poor choices.
Injuries demolished poor Eric,
Yeah.
but he picked Aoyama because he's a future Yokozuna.
Once again,
Bravo.
vicious eye roll.
Bravo, sir.
I have to take it from these guys because they keep me in business. But you, Eric Gare, you are nothing to me.
Oh, well, we'll give you guys updates on our midway and wrap it up with whoever wins and whoever got effed by injuries by
Jake.
Takayasu. Yep. Just a quick... and
Well, if he pulls out, we have the rule in where you can replace him with somebody.
if he pulls... Yeah, our rule is you can replace him if they pull out before the
Hopefully
tournament
he shows
starts.
up, loses the first match, and then pulls
I
out.
guarantee
Hakuho
100%.
did that to me in a previous basho,
That
so
is
it's
what's
possible.
going to happen. All right, last quick thing here: our ELO power rankings that we have that we've keep live on our website. We're actually going through a bit of an overhaul on those, but we'll give you updates on the numbers occasionally here. Our top point rank right now is actually Takayasu. He finished. He's at the top because he's been consistent. He's had a couple really good finishes in a row. That got him all the way up to 1140, which is pretty significant. Anything over 1100 or below 900, that's kind of the extremes. Normal Rikishi are going to be between 900 and 1100. But Takayasu, after our in between basho correction, is coming in at 1105. That's the highest ranking out of anybody. Right behind him, Kakuryu at 1095 and Tochinoshin at 1082. Those are going to be your top three to watch. And again, this isn't necessarily a 100% predictor. It's more of a message or more of a method to mathematically measure who's on a hot streak. Who's doing great right now. But Hakuho coming in, he's got a lower ranking because he's taken time off. But I think it's pretty clear that he's going to be one of the favorites. Either way, though, that's all I got there. And yeah, like I said, we'll provide some updates in our midway and wrap up.
All right, and so let's move on to hear what everybody is most excited to see in this upcoming basho. Let's start with Fleric.
I am the most excited for it. It looks like we might finally have two healthy Yokozunas being in the basho the whole entire time. So I'm looking forward to two healthy Yokozunas facing off on day 15.
Was the last time we saw that in Nagoya last year? Because it was only Harumafuji and Aki in Kyushu. Would it have only been Hakuho?
Mm-hmm.
And then Kakuryu for the last two was the only one. So yeah, I think this would be the first time since Nagoya of last year that we have two Yokozuna facing off on the final day.
Exactly. They always bring it for matches against themselves, so I will be very excited to watch these.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
For me, I am excited to see. It's kind of a make or break basho. Well, for everybody, always. But Abi and Yutakayama in particular, these guys rocketed up with some great finishes last time, and I think it's more likely that they're just going to be completely humbled. Their asses kicked back down to the lower half for a basho or two. Mm-hmm. But it's possible that if they are the real deal and if they are ready already, they could really show us up.
All right. How about you, Mac?
I'm most excited for Tochinoshin's Ozeki run here. I think, like we kind of touched on earlier, this is his chance. This is his shot. He just needs to perform well, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Yep, I'm right there with Mac. Got nothing else to add there. We do have one more message from our fans that we got left on our voicemail. Let's take a quick listen to that.
Hey, I just wanted to say that Aoyama is pretty good. Well, that's all. Thanks.
Again with this Aoyama stuff.
You're the only one who doesn't see it, man.
Indeed.
It must be something. It took me a while to turn around on Chiyomaru, but
it happened.
I can't see it happening with Aoyama. I'm sorry. So just kind of wrap things up. Once again, the Natsu Basho, which comes after the Haru Basho, which comes after the Hatsu Basho, will begin
Attaboy.
You did it.
We'll begin on Sunday, May 15th. We should have our midway episode out sometime after the 19th, I think.
Yeah, that's the date we're shooting for. Oh, and that Sunday is the 13th.
Isn't that what I said? Sunday, May 13th?
I heard 15th, but I might also be stupid.
I think it's mostly you're stupid.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, you're the one who trusts me with the editing, so I can make this. Hey, maybe I'll make you look silly.
I mean, every mistake I've ever made was pure editing, so I am flawless.
Yes, I have retroactively gone back and edited all of Ryan's silly mistakes.
You heard it here first, people. Once again, the USA Open is going to be Saturday, May 12th. Happy birthday, Ryan. And I believe we have in our bonus episode that we posted ways that you can watch that event yourself on YouTube. And until then, if you like this podcast, you can go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You can find us on Twitter at GSumo Breakdown or on Facebook at Grand Sumo Breakdown.
You can check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com, for fantasy and power rankings.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Until next time.
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.